Hello guys, how are you? Cryptex here. Tonight I'm not at home. This is not my usual setup. So I don't know if my sound is good. Please let me know if my sound is okay or not, because this is a new situation for me, a new place. So I don't have my microphone. I think that Hiwata is here. How are you? Thank you for being here, and thank you guys for showing up. So just let me know, please, in the comments if my sound is okay or not. This is gonna be a quick live. I'm not gonna stay too long tonight. Uh, I just want to talk about some videos that I was watching this week about Delphi. Thank you, Sistro. Thank you for that. Thank you, Sabrosa, for letting me know that my sound is good. So excellent. That's a good news. Wow, Phoenix here. Thank you, man. Thank you for being here. I'm happy. Uh, I'm gonna I'm gonna drop the link if anyone wants to call. You're welcome, guys. Anyways, I just want to say a couple of things here. We know that this case is crazy. It generates a lot of passion, uh, regardless if you are in the pro Allen side, in the pro prosecution side, or in the middle. We know that this case generates a lot of passion because, in my opinion, all of us we want the same outcome, the same objective at the end. We want justice for the girls, and not only justice, full justice. So why am I talking about this tonight? Because I'm watching stuff online that I don't think is okay. For example, we know that the video of the girls and the bridge guy on the bridge was released. To me, it's not yet clear who released the video. Some people are saying that it was released by Alex Baldwin, Andrew Baldwin. Sorry, I'm confusing the actor with the lawyer. Sorry for that. But the defense. But anyways, it's not clear for me who was the person responsible for the release of the video. Anyways, the video is out there. And again, I don't know if this is the original video, if this is the enhanced video. I'm not trying to look cool. It's actually cold here, even if we enter into the spring season. So that's why I have my Bolivian beanie tonight. Uh, and there are a lot of there is a lot of turbulence about the video, as expected, and I'm seeing things that I don't think they are okay. For example, I know that we want to solve the case. We want to find the clues hidden in the video, and I see that a lot of people is trying to enhance the audio, is trying to enhance the video, and they are trying to figure out what is actually being told or being being told by this guy or by the girls. But I think if you are not a professional in audio editing or video editing, I don't think that is very responsible, because I think some people are maybe trying to push some narrative, and I really want to see some experts here if it is not clear what is actually being told in that video. Is not, I'm not gonna name creators, but I know that they are doing this for a good reason here. But if you don't have a very professional audio background, don't try to figure out or to clean out that video or do it. But no, I don't think that's something that could be taken seriously for real. So I love your comment, Hiawatha. All I know for a fact is what my ears tell me. Lots of people pushing a narrative. And you have your ears, I have mine, and I'm pretty sure that everyone here is listening or is understanding something different from that video. All of us, we are watching to the same video, we are listening to the same sounds, and we are understanding different things. I don't know if it's because we have different devices, because you are trying to watch or to listen to that video from a TV screen or for an Apple computer or for I don't know, Samsung cell phone, and at the end the outcome is something different for each one of us. I don't know. I'm gonna say in my case, and I'm not a very pro prosecution guy or pro prosecution creator here. I I really think that this investigation was crap. It was a crappy investigation. I really don't understand a lot of things that were done or were not done in this case. But in my case, and as Hiawatha was saying in her comment, in my case, I hear that be a gun. I hear that. I cannot help myself, and I'm not a pro prosecution guy. And I know that hearing or outcome is not pro Allen, let's say. But that's what I hear. I cannot say something that I'm not hearing. And some people online are very aggressive, not to me, to the general community. Uh, they're saying if you're hearing that be a gun, you are a pro prosecution guy, or you are pushing some narrative. That's insane. If you are hearing that type of sentence there, I'm sorry. That's what I'm hearing, and I'm not saying that because I'm hearing that is correct. Maybe I'm hearing something that is not there. Uh, Again, because of the way I'm listening to that video, because of my computer, because of my ears, because of my culture, because I'm not an English speaker. So maybe I'm not hearing correctly what I'm listening to in that video. That's possible. I'm not saying that if you are hearing something different, you are wrong, you know, but that's the thing. Uh, we shouldn't uh, bull. We shouldn't be a bully a person against other people that are hearing something different. We are not the owners of the truth here. Now, if you are an expert and you have a very powerful uh, device or software to show that what is actually there is that be a gun or that we go down. That's the path we go down. I cannot hear that, for example. I'm really hearing that be a gun. I'm not hearing a gun rocking. Phoenix here. Hey, hello, Finn. How are you, man?
What's up, man? How are you doing?
I'm glad, man. Thank you for being here. I'm so glad you called. What's up?
Not much. I'm agreeing with some of what you're saying. I'm a little bit. I thought that some experts would get a hold of this and do something more with it. Up to this point, it's taken a little bit longer. As far as like, I mean, you're right. Everybody's gonna hear their own things, and I think that you have to be a little bit gracious as far as keeping it open to interpretation. As far as you don't know exactly what is said, like unless somebody backs it up with something. I thought we'd see a little bit more analysis up to this point.
Yeah, 100%, man. I agree with
But I also disagree with some of what you're saying. Like the gun thing, I think is I if there's any part of this any part of clarity that we've gotten this far, like just from actually seeing it and actually hearing it, the path that we go down seems to be the clearest part of anything. And then I don't know, there's a lot of controversy about like whispering and stuff, but the other thing that's pretty clear is that like you see Abby's speaking words on the bridge, and I don't think that it's very sensible to attribute those words to somebody else, because we can literally just see her speaking. What exactly she says, I think, is a little bit open, but it does seem like Izzy right there or something like that.
But I could say the same thing in my side, and I respect what you're saying. In your opinion, and you are clearly hearing that we go down.
Yeah, that part, and it's also, it's hard to just like parse out exactly what somebody's talking about when they're hearing something, because there's definitely like there's muted sounds in the background where if that's what you're talking about, you might be talking about something different. But like as far as the very audible things, the path that we go down, like I think that's pretty clear. If there's something else that's not that, maybe there's something in the background. I don't really know, but you know, that would require some
I don't
higher
hear
level
that.
technical stuff.
I don't hear that, Finn. I don't hear it.
Well, and there's also, I mean, you brought up like there's a big part of it's contextual and just like grammatical, as far as she's mid-sentence and completes the sentence with something that makes sense rather than something that doesn't make any sense.
And I agree with you.
And that's not a normal pattern of speech. Like there's the very logical path that we go down, and also that is what I hear. You know, it seems pretty clear.
No, I give you that. Maybe it doesn't make sense. That be a gun. I give you that. Maybe it doesn't make sense.
No, it's not a maybe. It definitely doesn't make sense. Like, especially if you put it in the context of a full sentence.
But those are two different things. One thing is, if that doesn't make sense, I'm okay with that. And maybe you're right, and I could agree with you. That doesn't make sense. That is not the way people there talk. Is not the way that people in Indiana talk. That be a gun. It's not an unusual sentence, let's say. I can give you that. But those are separate things. When I watched the video for the first time, I didn't read any comment. I didn't listen to any comment online. I wanted to have my own perception of the video before. I didn't want to have any preconception, you know. And that's what I hear. And I watched the video 3,000 times.
But that's the problem, Cryptex, because you do have a preconception of that, because that's the whole point of them saying I mean, they're priming people to hear something that isn't there, and you can't be untold what you hear. And the biggest part of that, so like, you know, they tell you that be again, like, you can't unknow that, so you're already listening for it. And if you listen to it outside of any context, sure, like, could that be what that is? Sure, but like, it's not what it is. And especially when you listen to it with your own ears, I think that path that we go down is it is very, very audible. The other part of that is that where we've been primed, and we've been primed a whole lot more on it, is the down the hill part at the very end. I don't know that that's what that is. We've all been told that's what it is. Does it kind of sound like it? Kind of. It's very rushed. I would say it's much more likely that it's downhill or down here, or, you know, but you've been told that it's one thing, so that's what you're going to hear, and you just can't undo that. It's very difficult. That's why, like, an actual technical, like, analysis of it, like, people slow it down and it sounds like down the hill, but like, it's not slowed down. Like, it's actually in real time. So you got to, if you slow it down, you have to only do that for the purpose of what is it when you speed it back up to real time, not what does it sound like when you slow it down.
Yeah, no, you have good points here. And listen, maybe you're right, and maybe what you're hearing is the correct sentence that we go down. But I can tell you, I listened to that video 3,000 times, and I every time I hear that be a gun, that's what I hear, and I agree. The inflection of the voice of Lily is weird. It's not that be a gun. No, that be a gun. But that's what I hear. I cannot help myself, and I'm not pushing any narrative. And I'm sure that, I don't know. Let's say 30% of the community are listening to the same thing uh, I'm hearing. You know what I mean? And it's not because we are pushing any narrative. And again, I'm not pro prosecution. I'm being very.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that, like, if you've been exposed to somebody telling you what you're going to hear, like, because there's no way to undo that. And so, like, a very good test is to play the audio or the video and the audio, because they kind of go together. But play it to somebody that doesn't know anything about it and see what they think they hear. And people have been doing that, and it's, I don't know that I've heard of anybody that didn't say it wasn't that we go down, because it just, that's what it I'm pretty certain that's the there's a lot of things to be uncertain about the video and the audio. The thing that I'm least confused about is that part, that Tony Liggett definitely lied and said that it was that be a gun. It's definitely not. And
look,
that's the least part that I have like any like question about.
But I put myself in Liggett's shoes today, and I hate Tony Liggett. But today I cannot say that he was lying, because I'm hearing the same thing he's hearing, and maybe he's lying, maybe he's pushing some narrative. But when you say this is very audible, that we go down, I can say the same thing, and I'm not arguing with you, Finn. That's what I hear, anyways. And we are not gonna agree in that point. That it is what it is. But just moving forward, and I know you have a lot of information, or you are doing a lot of research in this case. and I want to know your perceptions or your ideas about the video. What do you think about the video? Do you think this is actually the original video or this is the enhanced video? What do you think about that?
My initial, just looking at it, my initial reaction was like, this is really, really clear for a 2017 video. But I have no idea. I have no idea whether this has been enhanced in some way. Like, if I had to guess one way or another with no other information, I would say that this has been cleaned up. I know that a lot of people hang their hat on, oh, it's got the same metadata. Would it surprise me at all if it's been cleaned up and it has the same metadata? That would not surprise me in the slightest. Like, that wouldn't be shocking to me. But I have no idea. I have no idea. Like, we just don't know. Like we don't have that information of whether this is an original or not an original, whether it's been enhanced, what's been done to it. The biggest thing that I've got a huge question mark about is the geolocation for this video and where it comes from. Like, the GPS location for this video is not the bridge.
Yeah,
and that's just a fact, and it's very problematic and opens up a lot of questions of why is the GPS location of this video not the bridge.
Yeah, that's very fishy. I agree with you, and I agree. My first perception, let's say, when I saw the video for the first time, and still today, I think it's very very clear for a video that was taken on 2017. It looks like a video that was made, I don't know, 2000. I don't know. It looks very very clear for
Yeah,
a
the
video that was
cameras
taken in
weren't that. I
2017.
mean, the cameras, that's the big selling point for buying your new iPhone every time is that the camera's better. The camera's better. The camera's better. Well, dude, 8 years ago the camera wasn't that great. Like, I don't know why. Like, this looks particularly good. I mean, it looks very very clear. But
Yeah,
if one thing has changed on the video, how many other things are changed on the video? Like, we just don't know.
yeah, I agree. And I don't know, man. Maybe I'm in a conspiracy land, or I don't know. But when I see a bridge guy walking on that bridge, it looks really really fake. It's like a cartoon that was put there to move on the bridge. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. And again, I'm not an expert in editing.
Right. I mean,
So,
I wouldn't weigh one way or another. Like, would I be surprised if this is the original video? No. Would I be surprised if this is an enhanced video? No. Like, I just don't know.
yeah, and seems that here he has a good point. He said that the enhanced version is unironically worse. I don't understand why they did not release this day one. I agree.
Well, see, I mean, that's a good point, but the thing is, it could go either way. Like, if this is the enhanced, maybe the original is worse, and they did release something that is closer to the original. They definitely didn't release anything like this. The what they released is all definitely quote unquote worse. Their dimensions are changed. The quality is changed. Both for the video or the picture, the frames, and the audio. Like, it's not this. Whatever they released is definitely not this. And if they had released this in its entirety, I think it would have been far more helpful. Even if this has been changed at all, like, whatever they had, they should have released more because it would have been more helpful. And I think that's the big point, is that they didn't really want the full amount of help that was available. It really comes across as they were hindering their own investigation. If their only avenue was they needed somebody to help them, well, you're not going to get the help doing what they did. And they didn't.
Yeah,
what they released did not do anything to advance the investigation ever at any point in time. And that's the only thing that they actually ever did.
I agree, man. 100%. What are your ideas about the video, like in general? Did you feel any sense of panic, any sense of fear?
I have a hard time interpreting that. Like, I think some of my initial reactions have kind of walked back a little bit, of like, they weren't worried, or like, I don't know. Like, I think it's hard to tell. Like, it's hard to tell whether there's a little bit of worry. I mean, the situation in totality is, it seems like maybe they interacted with this person previously, like like further along the bridge. A lot of it, you have to, if you have to like set a baseline, like if we assume that this is not like super manipulated, like if it's really manipulated, then the context of everything isn't that helpful. Like if they change where bridge guy is on the bridge, okay, that changes the context of everything 1,000,000%.
Yeah,
But if you take it at face value, I wouldn't be surprised at all if there was a prior interaction.
Do you think that
they don't seem to be particularly panicked, or scared, or, at any point. But might they be a little bit nervous? Maybe. I don't know. Like, and I do think that this is the thing. The more I've watched it, the more I've kind of like given a little bit more credence to it. Shows what the state says it shows, and like this guy is probably involved with something. You have to trust that the audio is actually belongs with this video. Nothing's been added to it or something. These aren't separate things that have been merged together.
right? Good point.
But at the end, you kind of see like Abby kind of scurry towards going down the hill, which I think, the overall narrative kind of, definitely seeing, if you take this at face value, like up to this point, never seen anything that suggests that Bridge Guy is actually involved with anything. Just based on his proximity, how close he is to them, would I say that's much more likely now? Yeah, I would say that like this guy could definitely be involved in something. There's no evidence that he is, but like, general context, yeah, I'd say it's much more likely that he is than he's not.
Yeah. But there is no evidence from this video that Bridge Guy is Richard Allen. I think.
That's a big thing, and I think that there's, again, you always have to go back. How valid is this? How like if this is the original, not touched by anybody video, then you should be able to figure out some stuff from this. Like, and it certainly, either including or excluding Richard Allen. And I think that, I've seen a number of people kind of work through it as far as doing the height thing. Like when everybody that did the height analyses before used a squished down frame,
Right.
is not correct. And we can see it now for our own eyes, like it's different. And you also have perspective here because you have the height of another person a certain distance away to compare it to. And I mean, basic rough like guesses, like is not nearly somebody as short as Richard Allen. It just isn't. Getting a better guess on it, I think, requires a bit more technical analysis and measurements, and like really looking at it a lot more closely. But I think that it's clearly somebody taller. And the other thing I would just point out is that people came up with their height, calculations previously, right? But
Right.
like they took the picture, they looked at the picture, they came up there with their height calculation. They were very confident in it. And now that you see that it was squished down several inches, well, you better be changing your calculation to several inches taller. Like, otherwise, you weren't that confident in your calculation.
No, I agree, and I think that a lot of people are making, or they are gonna make height calculations, and the outcomes are gonna be very different. And I think that this is gonna be based on the preconceptions they have about the
Well,
case.
see, that's what I'm saying, is that like here's a good reference point, is that most of these people did their height calculations before. So whatever height calculation you did before, if you're not tacking on several inches, then you're just not an honest person. That's you're just lying to yourself and everybody else, because you see that it was squished down now. So if you're not adding to it, then you were full of shit, and you still are.
I agree. It doesn't sound too crazy to me that it would be very easy to find an expert to determine the calculation, to determine the height of Bridge Guy. Why do you think that the defense or the prosecution, why do you think they didn't got an expert to do that determination, that height determination?
I mean, the thing that I would go with is that they did not want to lock in. They wanted to keep it open so that if the opportunity arose, they can just have a blank canvas and paint anybody as the suspect if that's what they need to do. Like, they did not want to be like, this person is 6 feet tall. Because then when you bring in somebody that's 5'5", well, that doesn't work very well. But if you leave it open-ended, no, that's not a problem for you.
It's not gonna be beneficial for the prosecution. I understand that, but if I'm the defense attorney or the defense lawyer, I'm gonna get an expert right away. I'm gonna pay $10,000 to have that height determination, because, as you say, it seems to be clear that the bridge guy is tall. So why do you think that Baldwin?
I don't know why the defense didn't do it. Like, I mean, I've got lots of questions about that stuff, and I mean, I just don't know. I don't know why the defense took their particular strategy, and I mean, I think there's a lots of opportunity for them to go in different directions, and you know, they went with the direction that they went with.
Yeah, right. There's a lot of controversy today. Some people think that there are maybe multiple people at the other side of the bridge, maybe two girls, that maybe it's not just Libby talking, but that maybe there's another girl there. What do you think about that? Do you have any hypothesis in that
So
case?
far, from what I've seen, I don't see any evidence of any other person other than the three people that are there. I think that would be fantastic to actually find really good evidence of. You know, a lot of people look at the shadows. You know, people are looking for or trying to hear a different voice. To me, I haven't seen anything that's convincing at all that there's any other person there. I'm not saying that there is or there isn't. Just to me, I haven't seen anything that convinces me that there's anybody else there.
Yeah, good point. Talking
I
about
think that would be really, really big for there to be a fourth or fifth person anywhere in the vicinity of that area. If you can prove it, if you can show it, if you have actual evidence of it, like where you can really, really nail it down, that would be absolutely huge. I just have not seen it up to this point. Which makes me a little bit skeptical that it exists, but you know, I'm open to seeing if, like, I mean, I've looked, I've listened. I don't see it and I don't hear it. Completely open. If you can point out the shadow where it's definitely somebody else, perfect. Like that's a huge piece of the puzzle, but I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, 100%. I wanted to ask you about because I'm very interested in that topic, in that subject. What do you think about the Reese Davis testimony, let's say, about the confessions that Ron Logan and Keegan Klein made to him? Do you think the guy is credible? Do you think that he was fed with crappy information, or do you think that there's something there
I
that
mean,
makes sense?
I've heard him talk a lot, and I mean, I think that he sounds pretty credible to me, and you know, the narrative of like what he's saying, given the actual video and seeing it, I'd say it kind of goes together like a lot more than it doesn't. Like it makes a lot more sense. Like when you talk about there's this interaction with Ron Logan. Is that an interaction that happens further down the bridge? Yeah, that would make a lot of sense to me. Like that kind of marries it all together a lot. If you're just looking for like something that makes sense, a narrative that actually makes sense, I think it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, in my opinion, the guy is really solid. I don't know, my feeling or my gut tell me that the guy is actually very credible. When I hear the whole story, it makes sense. It's like the pieces fit together. We
Right.
cannot know that for
I
sure,
mean,
but it makes sense.
in this case, what's most often been the case is that the pieces don't fit together. Like this is finally like we're getting to a point where you get the Ron Logan and Keegan Klein confessions to Reese Davis, and you get the video, and those all kind of match up together. We've all been waiting for puzzle pieces to fit together, and here they are finally kind of fitting together. So now you want to be like, oh,
yeah,
we don't want puzzle pieces to fit together. No, then we still want the puzzle pieces to fit together. Like, and here they are fitting together.
yeah, sure. And here we have Keegan Klein, and I know that maybe this is confirmation bias from my side, because you know what is my theory here, and I'm
Right.
being very criticized because I'm not saying I'm pushing the Keegan Klein's narrative, but I'm trying to keep that angle alive, because I think, in my opinion, we are underestimating this guy. People
I think
think that,
that's fair. I wouldn't discount that. Like I don't. And I don't think it's fair for the one thing I hear a lot of times is like, well, Keegan Klein's a liar, so everything he says is a lie. Well, that's not how anything works. Like, people that lie all the time can, okay, so 10% of the things they say are definitely just all lies. Well, 90% of the things they say are true. Like, that's reality. Like, we can't do, nobody can lie 100% of the time. That's impossible. They wouldn't be able to be a functional person at all. So just because he's a liar and he lies about a lot of things doesn't mean that he can't tell the truth.
yeah, and when you are a liar and you give multiple interviews or multiple statements, it is gonna be kind of easy to catch that guy in his lies, you know.
Right.
But you can see some pattern. You can see. I'm not saying that I'm a polygraph, a human polygraph, but we are able to see when this guy is kind of lying, when this guy is kind of saying the truth, when the things fit together. I don't know, but it's very interesting, man.
I
Do
mean,
you?
it is
Yeah, go.
interesting, and I mean, I think that it's a big. I mean, it's very significant that Reese didn't only talk to Ron Logan. He did. He got very specific confessions. And then he also talked to Keegan Klein, who corroborated that and there's no like explanation of how he would be able to do that if, like, I mean, there just isn't any explanation, like, unless he has like actual knowledge of those events.
Yeah,
And the thing that's missing in all of this, where I mean, it's unfortunate as far as Reese is concerned, because Reese kind of like pigeonholed Richard Allen into there without there being any evidence of it. But none of the things like actually point to Richard Allen. Those connections don't exist. Like nobody's shown where Richard Allen knows Keegan Klein or knows Ron Logan or like was there at that time. Like, none of those things exist at all.
yeah. To me, the big point, and this is me making connections in my mind, and I understand if people don't agree at all with my thinking, but it's just that the search of the Wabash River, to me, that's a very big coincidence that that search was the consequence of the interrogatory of Keegan Klein at the Grissom Air Force Base, and that just right after the ending of that search, Richard Allen was arrested. So that's what, in my mind, in my logic, and I'm not saying that this is proof of anything, but it's just me making connections. To me, that's a potential connection between Klein and Richard Allen. But this is
Well,
me
so
try
that
to
but that connection can be, hey, we didn't find any what we were looking for, And
We
now
don't know.
we have a lot more motive to
We don't know that.
somebody. Like, that's also
How do you know that they didn't find anything?
I mean, I don't know, but
We don't know. That's the point.
They claim they didn't.
Look, this case was called for 5 years.
I don't think that they're gonna find like super good evidence for this crime, and then I mean, they could, but I think if they found something super good in their search, that they don't just completely hide that, because that doesn't make sense.
Why not? Why not?
Why?
To me, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense to me. But I want to.
But they found something in there, and they're gonna completely hide it, even though that would help their case against anybody. If they find good evidence, that would help their case.
That could be a part of the deal with Keegan Klein. Maybe Keegan Klein said, "Okay, I'm gonna tell you something, but we have to do a negotiation here. We have to make a negotiation. I'm gonna give you the guy who participated in this crime with me and my father. Let's say you're gonna go to
they were very on the they don't risk not convicting the guy with hard evidence and just hide the hard evidence. Like, that doesn't make sense. If they have really, really good evidence that it's Richard Allen, they're not going to hide that and destroy their entire case when that's the main thing that you have. They don't have it.
I think they found something, man. That's my.
Okay, but then why did they hide what they found?
Because they made a negotiation with Keegan.
How does that help? That doesn't help anything, though. How does doing a negotiation with Keegan convert to anything that is helpful versus the actual evidence in your hand?
Because they needed to convict Allen. They had something on him, let's say.
But that doesn't help. That doesn't help convict Allen, because you're not getting any testimony from Keegan. You found this magical evidence and you're not using it. Like, that just doesn't make any sense. Like,
negotiation.
But using the word negotiation doesn't like convert to anything useful. What is the negotiation? What does he provide for that? This is somebody that they all know lies to them, so who cares?
Maybe
Richard Allen.
Maybe they found
you're not using that. You're not using it. They didn't.
Maybe they found something that connected the.
But if they found the something is the key point here. Something that they would use, and they didn't use anything.
I disagree.
I mean, but just to know it in their heart, is that they just know this is the right guy, so and then they throw it away because it's obviously garbage. That doesn't make any sense, man. That doesn't make any sense. If you find something good, you use it.
Maybe it was good enough to have a confirmation bias. Keegan is telling us that there's a box cutter in the Webb's River. We found a box cutter. Yeah, we cannot connect this box cutter to Richard Allen to say that was the murder weapon, but it makes sense. So
it's a huge stretch that they're going to hide their damning evidence and completely hamstring themselves.
But to me, it's
and risk him being acquitted and just hide all that good evidence. That it's a huge stretch.
I know, and I accept that it's a huge stretch. But to me, it's a huge stretch to say that those three things happen in a couple of maybe in a period of 2 months where
but right, Cryptex, like not that's a good thought. They're connected. It just doesn't mean that they're connected as far as any evidence. They're connected as far as, hey, we did a search, we failed. Now the pressure's on us. What about this guy? Now I feel a lot of pressure to arrest somebody. Now I arrested somebody. There's not great evidence, but we're kind of stuck with this guy because we already did it.
Yeah, but regardless of, let's say they didn't find anything, as you said, and this is a different question for you. Do you think that the state they found Keegan credible when they performed the interrogation? Because after that they went to search the.
I don't think anybody's credible in that interrogation. I think he's lying and they're lying. I think you got two people lying to each other. It's just silly.
But why is the state going to search that river for 6 weeks and to spend $1 million if they think that Keegan was lying to them? You know what I mean?
Well, no, because Vito didn't think that Keegan was lying. Vito thought that Keegan was telling the truth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was my question. So they thought that Keegan was actually being credible, right?
Yeah, they've got him nailed to the wall. Like, why wouldn't he be? This is a good way to get information out of somebody. Like the same reason that, like, if you're gonna go with any sort of theory that Richard Allen is involved and other people are involved, you need to come up with an explanation of why Richard Allen ain't ratting somebody out. Because he sure would have. Nope.
Because it's not gonna be in his own benefit.
Of course, it's going to be in his benefit. It's definitely going to be in his benefit.
No, if Richard Allen is expecting during the process to have a
well, then you got to throw out every other quote unquote confession, because confessing that you're the person that did it and not confessing that other people are involved, those don't go together. Those do not go together.
Yeah, but listen to me 1 second, Finn. If Richard Allen, if he had hope to get a verdict of being innocent, he's not gonna play that card. He's not gonna say, hey, Keegan was involved in the murders with me. We did that together. I participated, but I was not the killer, let's say. Because it's not for his own benefit.
Right, Cryptex, but he's also not going to say, "Oh, I just did it all by myself." That doesn't help him either. So,
but at the end,
they're bullshit confessions. They're not actually confessions. A confession looks like what Ron Logan told Reese Davis. That's what a confession looks like. This crazy shit that Rick Allen said doesn't look like a confession.
Yeah, but you know that even if Ron Logan was not Ron Logan, even if Richard Allen was not the killer, but he was, let's say, part of the kidnapping team, he's gonna get the same amount of years behind bars.
So no, he definitely wouldn't. He would not get.
He's not gonna play that card.
Get the same amount of time behind bars if he fesses up and delivers the actual killers to them. Like, that's not how things work. He would definitely get off lighter.
Okay, and why do you think that the defense is pushing, or not pushing, but bringing out the Keegan Klein's narrative today and not before the or during the process? They went full Odinist. They were not pushing the wrong.
No, I mean, so that's something that people like to say, that they went full Odinist and stuff, but they didn't. They actually went zero Odinist. There was zero Odinist in the trial. It just doesn't exist. So if you say that, it's just wrong.
But
you're looking at a pretrial thing. You don't know
you
don't know what their strategy is. They're allowed to say one thing and then do another thing later. Completely okay. They can absolutely do that. We don't know because it didn't come in.
But why do you think that the Frank memorandum was full Odinism? And why don't you see anything about?
Well, so a Frank's memorandum is to really refute a search warrant.
Okay.
And I think that is, people want to say, oh, they were trying to get their narrative out there and whatever. Okay, well, that's a little bit of a conspiracy theory. If you take it at face value, a Frank's memorandum is to refute a search warrant, to demonstrate about how law enforcement has lied to a judge, and it does demonstrate that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only function of it. It doesn't have another function. There's no point in doing it. Judge Gull told them to do this, and then they did it, and then everybody doesn't like it. But so if you want to blame somebody, blame the judge.
I don't know, and I blame the judge for sure for a lot of things here. Yeah, and I hear you.
The judge sucks.
I love the way you think, by the way, even if we disagree in some points. I want to ask you the same questions I ask to everybody here in my channel when they come to talk to me. One of them is, what is your idea about the girls and the killer, the potential killer, crossing the creek? Do you think that they crossed the creek or not?
I really do not know. I think that it is completely possible to cross the creek. I don't see a lot of evidence of it. I mean, the big thing is there's not a lot of evidence of much. Like, the state did not prove really any of the things. Like, obviously they were murdered.
Obviously, yeah.
When that happened, no idea. Where that happened, no idea. What happened before, no idea. What happened after, no idea. Mm-hmm. Like, we do not have the answers. And everybody kept on saying, wait for the trial, we'll get all the answers. Wait for the trial, we'll get all the answers. Wrong. We did not get all the answers. We got zero answers.
Yeah, 100%. And maybe you're gonna answer in the same way, but I'm gonna ask you anyways. What about the sticks? What is your idea about that? What is the significance of the sticks there?
I mean, I 1,000,000% do not believe they were used as like any sort of cover or trying to hide the bodies at all. That is not what they did in any like stretch of the imagination. I don't care how if your imagination is so good that you think those sticks are covering the bodies, then you're an insane person.
100%.
The sticks were, I mean, I think that they're purposefully placed. They are either trying to create some sort of design. It doesn't have to be Odinist. Like, it can be a satanic design. I don't care what it is, but it's either creating some design or, I think that's the only answer. Like, it's creating some sort of design, whether it's done because this person like subscribes to some sort of like importance to the way that they're placed, or they're trying to frame somebody that might do a similar thing. I think that's completely a fair question. But I think that they are purposely placed in a design. For what reason, I don't know. You know, what we know is what we know, and like, you know, there's a lot of law enforcement and FBI saying, you know, like, the scene is staged. It's staged. It's staged. It's staged. It's staged.
Yeah.
Like, okay. I mean, then we know what we know now. Yeah, it's staged. Like, don't pretend it's not staged. It's staged.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, and then they go to trial and be like, "Oh, it's not staged." Bullshit. Bullshit. You fucking told us it was staged. It's staged. We see that it is staged.
No, that's clear, crystal clear for sure. I agree 100%. It was interesting the statement of Ricci Davis about Keegan Kline saying that the staging was Keegan trying to design the crime scene as a witchcraft scenario to mislead the investigators. Do you remember that?
I think that's a completely, like, whoever did it, is that a possibility? Absolutely. It's absolutely possible that someone very, like, on the fly was like, what can I do here to make this not look like I did it and make it look like some crazy people did it? And they're like, well, I'll make some designs.
Yeah. And I don't know if this
like,
is...
no, I mean, I know you like to bring up the movies, but, like, hey, you know, True Detective, man. I mean, this is straight out of True Detective. You don't need like extensive knowledge to, like, throw this together on the fly.
Yeah, right.
You can watch one HBO show and be like, oh, I know what I can do right here, right now, and be done with it. Like, it doesn't require any studying or, like, knowing anything about anything. You can just do some weird shit, and, like, yeah, if you do some weird shit, people are gonna overanalyze it. They sure will.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is significant in some way or not. I don't know if you remember that Keegan Kline, he was an ordained minister, and I think he was the one who married his own mother with his stepfather. So he has like a religious background. Surprisingly, do you think that this is significant somehow, or
I've
who
not
knows?
heard about that before, so I would like to hear that. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know about that.
Okay, I understand. And the other question I repeat every time to my guests here: what about Abby being redressed with Libby's clothes? What's your idea about that?
I have no idea. I have no idea, like, what happened or why, or it's completely bizarre. This is, like, when they talk about, I mean, I don't know if that factors into the scene being staged. Redressing would factor into that. Did not hear really good anything suggesting whether this happened prior to death or after death, and it's very, very strange.
Your ideas, huh?
It's completely bizarre. Like, this crime scene is completely bizarre, and it's something that was hidden, like, or just not emphasized to the jury, that this crime scene is fucking insane.
It
It's
is
completely fucking insane. Like, nobody should think that this crime scene is not completely fucking insane. And this is why the FBI was involved early on, because of how fucking insane it is. It's really fucking weird.
And
This is not normal.
no.
It's not normal to have children sliced to death and one naked and one clothed and sticks on top of them. None of that shit's fucking normal. And then you just like pick out a regular Joe Schmo and be like, this guy did it. No. You need a lot more explanation than that, because this is not fucking normal. This is a weird fucking scene.
It is.
You need to explain it. And what they for whatever reason, the judge, worked with the prosecution to prevent explaining why this scene is so weird.
One interesting thing here is I agree with you 100%. It's hard to have an answer for that question. And actually, when we hear the Reese Davis testimony, we have one answer from Keegan Kline when he was saying that at one point, when they wanted to move Abby in a vehicle, in a car, they didn't want to have Abby naked, because that's going to be weird to have a naked girl in a car. So the way to try to move her in that vehicle was redressing Abby with Libby's clothes. So again, when I think about the Reese Davis confessions or potential confessions, a lot of things make sense now. I don't know.
Okay, I haven't heard that before, but that does make sense. Like, that's a logical like thought. Yeah, right. But if you're gonna move a body, do you want a naked body to move, or do you want a throw some clothes on real quick just so it doesn't look weird, just in case? That makes sense.
Yeah, in the case by case channel, I'm sure you know about that. They had Ricky Davis 2 times in 2 separate shows, and he was telling that story.
Okay, I might that very specific part, but I did hear most of all of that, but that's a sort of narrative that makes sense. Like, well, I mean, we're absent of any other explanations, so like if you get an explanation and it kind of fits, like, that's how science works. You have a hypothesis, then you disprove it. So it's better to work towards something that like fits first, and then is there enough to discount that, or is there not?
Yeah, 100%, man.
Like, nobody else has an explanation. What's anybody else's explanation of why is she, like, why are they dressed, or why is she dressed?
And that's actually a good explanation. So I know we tend to minimize anything that comes from Keegan Kline, but
that's the thing. Like, I do not like the explanation of, well, Keegan Kline said it and he's a liar, so that means it's not true. That is not a realistic way to think about things. Somebody that's a liar will say many, many things true, probably many more things true than not true. Nobody can lie all the time. That's not realistic at all. So just because somebody said yes, you should be skeptical when a liar says something, but it's still more likely that it's true than not true.
Yeah, 100%. Do you think that an appeal is going to be granted to Richard Allen? What's your
opinion? I have no idea. I'm probably more pessimistic on it than I should be. I mean, it completely depends on your thoughts on corruption, and I think if this goes to 3 even-minded judges, for appellate review, that they will find a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, I would like to have an appeal because there's a lot of unanswered questions here. So let's see. I don't know, man. That's crazy.
I mean, there's enough up in the air and there's, I mean, the baseline that everybody has to accept is that we were not told the truth. You know, the when they released information that it was changed, it was lies. When they told the public information, it was lies. That they did not do a good job with their investigation.
Yeah.
And the more information that gets out into the hands of the public, the more likely it is that somebody can actually do anything with that information. You have to have the information first. We never had the information.
Right.
We've got a video. We've got a trial. We've got things that are said at the trial that do not match up with what the people said previously, very definitively. It's a big problem, and the more the information gets out, the more likely it is that somebody can do something with it. I know that's wrong, and I can prove it because I have this piece of information. Which, like, up to this point, they're thinking, "Oh, I have this piece of information," but they already know that. Not that they're going to lie about it. The big difference. So the more information we get, better. And if the crime can be solved more fully or completely differently, great. That's what we want.
Good point. We have here your friend Dan, your good friend. He says that no appeal will be granted because there are not appealable grounds. What is your answer for Dan, for your friend?
Well, Dan doesn't know shit about anything legal.
That's funny, man. I know. In general, do you have any hypothesis here? Do you think this is mostly the Odinist guys?
I do not have I do not have a specific theory. I mean, I think that there's a lot leaning in the Ron Logan direction now more than ever, and that's probably an avenue that I've discounted more than I should have. I think there's a lot pointing in that direction, and whether there's other people involved. I don't know. I think that's kind of open. It could be really simple and just a really bad investigation.
Yeah,
I really don't know.
That's a very sweet word, but investigation.
I mean,
it's a crappy investigation.
So the big thing about this is that you've got this case. There's lots of red flags and there's lots of clues pointing in a lot of different places. And generally, that suggests that it's more complex than less. There's more people involved than less because you've got so many indicators. So it can't, it's just unlikely that they're all coincidences. You can't have a million coincidences. That doesn't make sense. Most likely, some of them are coincidences, and some of them are not.
100% with you, man, here. And there are some creators or some people saying that this case is very simple and we are trying to make it complex. And in my opinion, it's the opposite. I think that this case is very complex, and some people are trying to make it very simple just to try to,
Well,
to
that's the problem, because making it Richard Allen isn't simple. It is very complex, and there's also just not any evidence that just makes it just Richard Allen. If you want to make it simple, like be honest with yourself. If you want a simple explanation, say it's Ron Logan. That's a simple explanation.
right.
Saying it's Richard Allen is not a simple explanation. Now you are making it complex. So you gotta be real here.
Yeah, 100%. To me, this is a complex case. To me, is
I
clear.
lean towards that it's more complex.
Yeah. No, and again, and I know that sometimes I'm acting like a parrot here, but uh, just the fact that there were no defensive injuries on the hands of the girls, that's a clear indication to me that there were multiple actors here. So pushing a narrative to say that this was a lone wolf situation, come on, that is far fetched, in my opinion. And
I mean, I think you need to fill in the blank. If I agree with you, like the easy explanation is that it's not. You've got multiple actors here. If you're going to go away from that, then you need an explanation for it. And handcuffs is an explanation. Richard Allen magic is not an explanation. That's silly. That's not an explanation. You need to actually have an explanation. If you want to give Richard Allen some handcuffs, yeah, that you're gonna go out on some limbs, and you know what? We already know what the state has said, and it wasn't a whole lot. They didn't fill in the blanks. They didn't provide these explanations.
yeah, I agree.
That doesn't mean that you don't need the explanations. We still need the explanations. Where are the explanations for how this actually went down? We got zero. We got zero about that.
Yeah, 100%.
It's just yada yada yada. It's not. That's not an explanation for what the fuck happened.
Yeah, for sure, man. I don't know, man. I don't have anything else to ask you. Do you want me to ask you something?
No, not really.
What's going on with your channel?
I don't have a channel. I just
Come on, you have.
I haven't done any YouTubes for a while.
Okay, man.
I'm more of a call-in guy.
That's fine, man. That's cool. Anyway, it's really cool to have conversations like these ones, because I know that you and I, we have different point of views and in multiple elements here, and that's cool because it's boring when you have someone who is always thinking in the same way you have. I think it's important to challenge each other, to at least to listen to different angles, to different ideas, and it was really cool. And here in the chat, the guys are saying that it was a nice conversation, man, and I appreciate that. And thank you for calling.
And you know what? Hey, I try to be open to it, other people's opinions, and I think that's an important thing to do, especially when you start looking at this video stuff and what is said. You can be convinced by yourself, but you don't know. So you need to be open and receptive to, like, while we're trying to figure stuff out, be open to thinking about, like,
Yeah, 100%.
Like, if you already know, then you already know, then just buzz off. Because if you know everything, go know everything by yourself. You don't have to rub it in people's faces that you know. Just be happy that you know. But if you're actually honest with yourself and you don't know, be open and think about things critically and be receptive to the evidence as it comes in, because we haven't seen a whole lot of evidence. Yeah, we all the public exhibits in the trial belong to the public, and we do not have them yet. Hopefully we have them soon, and then we will be able to, like, think about what we see as we see it. Still, so far, we haven't seen it.
Yeah, I agree. 100%, man. So that's it, Finn. I think I'm gonna end the live right now. Thank you so much again for calling. It was really cool.
Peace, dude.
So keep in touch, and thank you guys in the chat for your interactions, for your comments. Thank you to Criminal Network for the gifts. Thank you so much, man, for the memberships. So I appreciate that. And see you soon, guys. Thank you so much. Stay in touch.